he was delivered to him to keep, and do so ignorantly. The neighbor is going away and sure something for the man to keep until his return. Although it's possible that the man might forget the transaction, it's unlikely that he should do so. Even if he does forget, you probably remember that when the neighbor reminds him. But in the case before us, there is no plea for ignorance. The conclusion is inescapable. The man is guilty of deliberate sin. It is the same in the next case where he lies in fellowship or in bargain, that is in an agreement. Two men enter into a bargain, and one of them attempts to lie out of it. It is conceivable that there may have been a lapse of memory, but the evidence is against it. He is guilty. If there might be only slight doubt in a man's guilt in the first two instances, there's even less in the third case, where a thing is taken away by violence. It should be stretching the truth too far to hold that in this case it was a matter of ignorance. But some have attempted this by claiming that the man thought it was his, and hence recovered it by violence. When we admit that such situation might obtain, the probability is so small that it would seem that God would not cite such a case as a basis for sacrificial action. Or who hath deceived his neighbor, or who hath found which was lost, and hath concerned and swears falsely. Verse 2 and 3. God, in citing these cases, does not intend to show that the man is in ignorance, but rather that he has deliberately and rationally committed trespass, and that he is guilty. In these cases, require restitution before they can finally and justly be disposed of. God takes cognizance of them and prescribes a suitable penalty for the violations. First comes confession, when a man or woman shall commit any sin that men commit to do trespass against the Lord, and that a person may be guilty. They shall confess their sin which they have done. Number chapter 5, verses 6 and 7. That's the first, you must confess it. Second comes restitution. He shall recompense the trespass with the principal thereof, and add unto it a fifth part thereof, and give it unto him against whom he hath trespassed. Verse 7. The third part is the sacrifice to God. He shall bring his trespass offering into the Lord, a ram without blemish out of the flock, without estimation, for a trespass offering unto the Lord, unto the priest. Leviticus chapter 6, verse 6. So first is confession, second comes restitution, and third is sacrifice to God. And there you have it there with the ram for the trespass offering. Fourth comes forgiveness. And the priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord. He shall be forgiven him for anything of all he hath done in the trespass therein. Verse 7. Some believe the phrase in Leviticus 6:6, without estimation, is in reference to an extra penalty which the priest might exact if the circumstance warranted it. Others hold that it was a reference to the value of the ram. In any event, it appears that the priest has some jurisdiction in the case when a man was bound, that which the man was bound to respect. We consider the different aspects of trespass offering. We do not find anything questionable or immoral in the regulations, but we do find the evidence of a merciful, compassionate God who will forgive, but who also will by no means clear the guilty. Exodus 34, verse 7. We find nothing in these regulations that encourages transgression or gives the least impression that sin pays, and that one can buy his way out by giving a gift to God. What Rome did in the days of Tetzel was a perversion of the merciful provisions of God, and totally unlike God's plan of salvation. Sanctuary Service by M.L. Dreesen, page 160 to 166. Read that to get more information. Question, children's quiz. Question number 1. The study of the trespass offering as recorded in the last 6 verses of this chapter of Leviticus. The first 7 verses of chapter 7 reveals that these offerings in certain respects differ materially from sin offerings. While they include transgressions done in ignorance and recorded in the 5th chapter, they also include deliberate sins as recorded in 6, true or false. What you say? Is it true or is it false? Who says true? Raise your hand. Who says false? Raise your hand. The answer is true. It is true. Question number 2. The other sins that is stated, whether he knoweth it, and he shall be guilty, verse 4. The difference is that in one case the man is not considered guilty until he becomes aware that he has transgressed, while in the other case he is guilty whether or not he knows that he has transgressed. If he is guilty through ignorance of any transgression, it can only be because circumstances dictated that he should have known. When the holy things of the Lord are under consideration, God doesn't want men to know. True or false? What do you say? Is it true or is it false? Question number 2. Who says true? Raise your hand. Who says false? Raise your hand. The answer is false. It's a false statement. God wants you to know when it comes to holy things and other things pertaining towards the trespass. He wants people to know. Question number 3. Trespass against fellow man requires restitution as well as the trespass against God. For anything done against man is considered also trespass against God. Is this statement true or is this false? Question number 3. Is this true or false? Those who say true, raise your hand. Those who say false, raise your hand. The answer is true. Question number 4. If a soul sin and commit a trespass against the Lord and tell the truth to his neighbor, that's a false statement. I'm sorry. So Leviticus 6 verse 2. True or false? What do you say the answer is? Is it true or is it false? If you say true, raise your hand. If it's false, raise your hand. Let's look at Leviticus chapter 6 verse 2. Question number 5. First comes from confession when a man shall commit the sin that men commit and do trespass against the Lord, and a person shall be innocent when they confess their sin which they have done. True or false? There's 3 parts to it, so the answer is false. There's 3 parts. Let's look back. Let's go back and look. First confession, second restitution, third is sacrifice, and fourth is forgiveness. So, with this, question number 5 is a false statement because yes, first does come confession, but there's other things along. There's 4 steps they must take before that sin is washed clean, before they become innocent. So they must first confess, then there's restitution, third is the sacrifice to God, and fourth is forgiveness. The adult quiz.